Welcome to Subramani, and I'm sharing with you a beautiful meeting that I had with a friend of mine, and he wanted me to talk to his family, which is about 20 people, on a Zoom call about investing for the next few generations, right? So this is very difficult to accept for many people who are struggling to meet their immediate goals. But here was a wealthy family. They had, as of now, I think they would have about 250 crores of investments. And this man he's created most of it. And he wanted me to talk to his family about wealth for the few generations. So first of all, you hear a lot of stories saying wealth will be destroyed by the third generation. I wouldn't agree, because this man is very clear that his third generation will also understand the wealth creation process, and once the people understand the process, he is very sure that they will not destroy the wealth. He is himself he's in his 60s, and so you think that he should be 60% in equity and 40% in debt. It's not true. He's about 80% at least in equity and 20% in debt. But please remember, at the level of the numbers that we are talking about, it doesn't matter whether he is in debt or equity. It's such a humongous number. So yes, he has got stock picking skills. He has got a stock picking team. He's got 3-4 advisors picking up stocks for him. Somebody is doing day trading, somebody is doing delivery based trading, somebody is doing long term equity investment. So this is how it is. Plus he's got his business which is running. So he asked me what are all the things that is necessary. I said, first of all, when you are thinking in terms of the future generations, you stop looking at it as the owner and you start looking at it as a custodian. If I have an X amount of money, if somebody gives me say 100 rupees and says you can live off the interest, but you cannot touch that 100 rupees, then I will make sure that the capital is protected. So I may go and put it in a State Bank of India fixed deposit to the extent that I think that inflation is zero, because there is going to be inflation. I say, oh, some money has to be in equities to protect against inflation, but that's about all. It need not be too much. It can be 20-25%. That is much in equity, and the balance can be in debt. So I do things like that. So when I was talking to the kids, I think the youngest would have been 14. I didn't want any kid below 14, so there was somebody in the house who's maybe 14, 15. I'm not very sure, because it's a big extended family. His brothers, children, and all of them were there. So first of all, you start looking at life as if you are a custodian. This is the money. I can live off the income from it, but I should not be touching the capital. Now, this is something which I have known one more family, which may not want to be mentioned by name, which is much bigger, and they tell their kids, look, as far as you are concerned, you are only a custodian passing on to the next generation. This is, I mean, believe me, this is the 5th generation adding value to that family. That family's got at least 5,000-6,000 crores of market cap, investments, etc. Maybe my figure is wrong. Maybe it should be about 10,000 crores. And that is the kind of wealth they have, and this is the kind of belief that the children need to have, that yes, wealth can be created, it can be spread over a long period of time. It worked for Benjamin Franklin. He invested $1,000 for Boston and Philadelphia. If I'm speaking from memory, and I could be wrong. And that $1,000, he said, you should take this out only after 200 years. It worked for both, right? Compounding worked over 200 years. So compounding will work in your house also over next 100, 200, 500 years. But somebody has to think of it that way, saying that, oh, it will work. So which means from generation to generation, you have to pass on the baton of thinking like a long-term investor, of being obsessed with creating wealth, and being an aggressive investor. Like I have been an aggressive investor, too aggressive, people would say. I used to be 75-25 in equity and debt. Now I could even be 80-20 thanks to the market going up. I have not really measured it. So first of all, to be optimistic about the future, you have to be an aggressive equity investor, because other forms may not create wealth, they may preserve wealth. So yes, some big portion could be there. 20% of 20,000 crores is 4,000 crores, right? But then you have to also think that this is a family which has 16,000 crores in equity. That's the kind of size, which is the size of perhaps a few fund houses. There may not be many fund houses above that size, right? So when you are investing for yourself, you think of yourself as 60, 70, 80, 90, I'll die. You think of your spouse, you add another 4-5 years. If you think of your children, you add another 20 years. But if you add, if you think 7 generations, then you think it is timeless. My money has to just keep growing, right? So that is the first thing that I want, and I will be permanently in the wealth accumulation stage. And well, it worked for Benjamin Graham, it will work for you. So what are all the things? First of all, I inherited some money, and I should think that I should pass on at least that much, if not more. So I should have been a custodian for that money to start with, because it's not money which I created. Then there is money which I created, on which I paid taxes, I did charity, I spent, etc. But I also added to that kitty. So first of all, I should be adding to the kitty, which means, again, I'm using the word custodian for the nth time. Yes, I am a custodian to that money, and it is my job to make that money grow. So I need to understand investing, I need to understand asset allocation, I need to understand that this money actually belongs to future generations. Yes, of course, it can happen that in the 4th or 5th generation there is somebody very lazy, doesn't work, but I don't have to worry about those things. I have to say these are the steps that you will take which will permanently work, which means I have to accept that the world will be democratic, there will be equity markets, this will happen, there will be a world index fund. I have to believe in all those things. If I don't believe in any of those things, then I can just say, there is money lying under the sofa, you can use it for your expenses. That's not how it works, right? Then you understand currency risk. So I had to talk to them about currency risk, about why to invest abroad and why not to invest abroad, or what is the risk of having an advisor at risk of not having an advisor, the process of selecting a good advisor, the process of selecting a good accountant. So I went through each and everything, I went in detail. And the kids understood that they have to be responsible towards it. So the children were all told that you will have some income, and you will have a manager managing the money. But if the minute you think you can manage the money by dismissing the manager, you have to justify to the whole family why that you want to manage your money and not the manager, right? So these kind of rules and regulations are necessary when somebody is at 20,000 crores. At 200 crores, they have to still think that it's a family money which is being managed. It has got to have some family responsibilities of what can be done, what can't be done. For example, this family has a rule that whenever they buy an asset, they will buy an asset for 3 people, right? There are 3 brothers, so all 3 of them will get the same type of car. Color could be different, that's about all. Same jewelry, similar vacations, right? So they go on one vacation together, and they go on one vacation as a single unit of the family. When they go for a family vacation, it's a real big jamboree, right? So there are kids in the family who will do the choosing the location, etc. So yes, there is wealth creation, there is wealth being used also, but only the income gets used. The capital doesn't get used. You have to have the most important obligation, if you are doing this, is to educate the next generation and make sure that they think in those lines. Make sure that the boys and girls think like that, right? Because if they start thinking, oh God, this old man is sitting on so much money, let us go and blow it, you are in trouble. So you have to have checks and balances, giving enough power, giving power to the women, giving power to the men, giving power to the outsider. So how much you want that influence? How do you want to say so and so will be your chartered accountant, only this firm will be your chartered accountant? Do you want to get into that obsessive detailing, or do you say these are the broad guidelines of how you will hire an advisor? And this family hires 4 or 5 advisors, and I'm not an advisor at all. So I just review once in a while. I review some of the work done and say this is good, this is bad, this is ugly, right? So all those things will happen, and everybody should have this rule that you will carry forward. If I am the Karta and I am handling the money, I will make sure that we are well within our incomes for spending, and the wealth is growing, so that after my death, my next of kin, let's say my son or my grandson, whoever is managing it, should get at least inflation adjusted equal, if not better, right? So these kind of rules, regulations, it's nice to sit and talk to these kids. Am I saying that this is a forever portfolio which will always last? I don't know, but it is worth making an attempt. So therefore, this house has investments abroad. They have investments. They have real estate investments where they know they are not making money, but they're saying one day if it turns, it will make money. So ability to take some chunks of your capital and putting into other asset classes, asset allocation, rules, regulations. It is just fantastic the way the family has thought about it. And do they still have money in debt? Yes, it is more like dry gunpowder to be able to fire. Like if the market crashes, let's say it is 52,000 today, it is crashing and it goes down to 38,000. Then you have to have some money to invest. No point in saying all my money is in equity and so I can't remove that, right? So they have money in index funds, they have in managed funds, they have in direct equity, they have a dividend income. All these things are there, and yeah, this is what they wanted. They wanted to invest money for the next few generations, and this is what I spoke to them. I think I've covered everything. Thank you.